Good evening, everyone. We're going to be opening the Inlands, Wetlands, and Watercourse Commission for the town of Trumbull for March 4th, 2025. I will ask our clerk to do a roll call.
Richard Gerard,
Present.
John Loria,
Here.
Carmine DeFeo,
Here.
Rich Deacon,
Present.
David Verespi,
Yo.
Greg Cernica,
Present.
Bob Frigno,
Here.
town staff Tatiana Solove, here, John Mayer,
Here.
attorney Jim Cordone.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen. All right, at this point, I will ask our attorney to give us the legal aspects of doing a Zoom meeting, if you would, Counselor.
I would, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I'm James Cordone, one of the town attorneys. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Trumbull Inland Wetlands Watercourse Commission, as it has been the practice of this commission. Pursuant to Public Act 22.3, the meeting is being conducted by video conference and teleconference over the internet and/or the telephone. During the public comment section, which there will be on a public hearing, you may be recognized to speak by electronically raising your hand, or if on the phone, dialing *9. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the Trumbull Town website 24 hours in advance of the meeting. Materials for this application were posted on the town website in advance as well. Please note that posting any sort of comments online will not be seen by the commissioners. I would ask all commissioners and participants to remember to please identify yourself before speaking for the benefit of those who are listening by the phone, and also to be acknowledged by the chair before speaking. I would ask the chairman to make sure all votes are conducted by roll call unless the vote is unanimous. And finally, I'd remind everyone that tonight's meeting is recorded. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, we're going to open new business. Application 25-03, Metislav Daneshka. It's a permit approval of construction of a 28 by 26 addition and a 28 by 17 elevated deck within a regulated area at 39 Williams Road. I see the applicant is on the screen. Are you able to open your video, sir?
Hello. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
No, well, I can hear you, but we can't see you yet.
We can see him.
Oh, now we can. You just jumped up. Sorry about that.
Okay.
All right, if you can introduce yourself and give the address of the application.
Sure. So the address is 39 Williams Road, and my name is Vladislav Denishka. So we've been in Trumbull for 2 years. It's third year here, and we are a young family, so we are looking to have kids in the near future. Schools are very nice here, as you know. So the project is an addition of 28 by 26 feet. That's going to be 2 stories, the same as existing house, and it's going to be in a place of an existing deck. We have a raised backyard deck currently there. Dimensions are, I believe, 17 by 28. So it's going to be similar dimensions of the addition, just in place of the deck. And this deck will be moved parallel to the other side of the house, still in the backyard, of course. So that's pretty much the essence of the project. We have communicated with Tatiana on the details. We received some latest feedback recently as well, which we are working on. But if you have any questions currently, based on what have been submitted so far, and any questions related to the project, feel free to ask. But in terms of effect on anything in our backyard, we don't have any trees. There's literally just one tree, somewhat close to where the addition will be, but we plan to keep it if possible. and we'll see if it is feasible to still keep it there. Otherwise, there is existing vegetation that is native on both sides of the creek there. And, previous owners and us, we carefully maintain that, don't disturb anything. So we plan to hopefully add some more vegetation around the area as part of this project. So let me know if you have any questions.
Tatiana, are you able to put a project on the screen for us?
Sure. I have an agenda. Let me just get to the correct page. One sec. There we go. Share screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it. Basically, is there a water course? Is there wetlands? What are we dealing with here?
Yep. The water course
Wraps
runs
right
through-
around it, okay?
Yep. And the addition is in the back of the house. As was stated, there is existing deck. There is a line that you can barely see, but then it will be moved on the other side, and here is the proposed addition. And please correct me if I'm wrong on anything.
No, that's exactly as it is. Yeah.
Any,
Mhm.
go ahead, Tatiana, sorry.
Yeah, we've issued engineering comments. They're really minor in nature, so I'm sure the engineer will address them prior to the next meeting. The only comment that I wanted to highlight for the commission is that it would be beneficial if the driveway runoff was treated instead of the addition. So the stormwater system is proposed in the back of the house. It is close to the watercourse, but roof runoff is clean, as we know, and driveway runoff, it would be beneficial if it went through the stormwater system instead of the addition. It is not a requirement. It is up to the applicant, but I just wanted to highlight that that would be beneficial for the wetlands. And that's
All right,
really what I had.
All right, thank you. Any comments or questions from the commission? Because we'll obviously walk this, and if there's anything that you want to see for the next meeting,
Through the chair.
go ahead, David.
Maybe on the next, after the site visit, we'll have more information, but he said that there's really no vegetation on the site. There's no trees. Is there any plantings that are being proposed to create a buffer between the watercourse and the proposed addition? Or could we capture some of the runoff from the roof into a rain garden in the back corner or something where, we could create some of that buffering opportunity?
Yeah, so just to be clear, right, what I was referring to...
For the record, it's the applicant speaking. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So to be exact, when I mentioned no trees, I meant specifically trees, right? We only have one tree approximately where this square for concrete washout, plus minus that area. There is a tree there. But there are a lot of trees on the property on the other side of the creek. There is literally a forest there. I was referring to our side of the backyard on this side of the creek. And, there is a grassland covering everything. And also on our side of the creek, we have a bunch of bushes and natural vegetation there. So
it may be more evident when we walk the project, but at this point in time, I'm going to reserve comment on the plantings because typically we do request buffer plantings be installed.
Absolutely, that wouldn't be a problem at all. If we determine that there is a need for that after the walk, we're absolutely happy to do that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the commission?
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Carmine.
more of a question for Tatiana. You could, yeah. There's just that one 6-inch roof leader. Is that just for the addition, or does he have to tie in the whole house to the Coltech?
It says it's just for the addition. They don't have to tie the whole house. It's just the added impervious area that has to be routed to the stormwater system.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Any other commissioners? Any questions? Okay, John, I'm going to ask you to inform the applicant of what we'd like to have done for our walk, if you would. John, are you with me?
I'm sorry, Richard.
Okay,
I wasn't prepared for that.
no problem.
I thought you were talking about John Mayer. Yeah. So we haven't put
I'm
up.
sorry, I forget we have the two Johns.
Yeah.
He's the talkative one, I forget.
Yeah. So we haven't done any new construction, right? So we would probably like to get the corners of the building that or the addition taken out. So if we could have the at least 3 points on the back side of the house identified with stakes. I think that would suffice. I don't know if any other commissioners have any ideas what else. Maybe you, Tatiana?
Just through the chair, just to clarify, the 3 points, would the commission like 2 corners of the addition and a corner of the deck?
Yeah, it's sort of like
Okay.
that. I just think
Would
we
you
have
like?
sort of an L shape there. One where the roof is coming out, and the
Okay.
stairs, maybe right where the roof leaders coming out. And then if we go down that leg of the L, that corner, I guess we'd have 4 points. And then up that adjacent L and then over to the 26-foot boundary. So that would be 4.
All right, so Tatiana, you'd be able to email the applicant exactly what we're looking for the when we do our walk?
Yeah, I didn't catch the last sentence. So I caught the addition and the deck and then the stormwater system.
Well, I thought the corner where yeah, let's put a stake where the stormwater. Well, I didn't
Okay.
suggest that. That would be good. So that would be a total of 5 stakes.
All right, any other
Through the
comments?
chair.
Go ahead, Carmine.
It's another question, a little technical question. In the drawings, there's a drawing C1 and C2, and they seem to be the same. Is there a difference in those?
C2 just depicts drainage area maps. This is really relevant for the drainage calculations report, so it wasn't necessary to include that. I would just concentrate on SP1.
So there is a difference between C1 and C2?
Oh, correct. But S2, it really depicts the information for the drainage calculations, so time of concentration, curve numbers, all that stuff that we review as part of the stormwater system design. So
Those appear to be on, those calculations seem to be on both,
Yeah, it looks like
both
the
of those
same.
drawings.
It's the same.
I would agree with that.
I don't see them on SP1, but
No,
No, C1.
C1 and
C1 and
C2.
C2 are the same drawing.
Yeah.
So
C is in red.
neither
Right.
of those are required. So yes, C1 and C2 are not necessary for the commission review.
But they're the same drawing.
They're saying yeah.
One should be for the proposed and one for existing conditions. So there should be a difference.
I don't see it.
It's really the devil is in details in areas and curve numbers. Those are the only differences.
All right. Any other questions, comments from the commission?
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Richard.
Just a question about the pool. I'm just looking at that. There's no future alterations at this time to that pool.
Right. So the pool, we do not plan to do anything about it, meaning we're not going to expand or alter it in any way. It's just going to remain there as is.
Okay, for the record, that was the applicant speaking. Okay, so are we good? Any other comments, questions, anything else you want to ask for the applicant to have for the next meeting? We're good? All right, I think that's it, sir. We will notify you when we're going to be walking it, and then we will look forward to seeing you back on March 4th. All right?
April 4th.
I mean, April 4th. I'm looking at March. Thank you.
April 1st.
April 1st. I'm sorry. April 1st.
Sounds good. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I'm looking at my calendar and I'm still looking February. So we've got you on April 1st. All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we're going to move to the next application, application 25-04. I believe Commissioner Verespi wants to say something.
I will be recusing myself from this application as I am involved in it. So
All right.
please,
And
when we're done, and I will come back on the meeting.
we will notify you then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman, we take the drawing off the screen?
Yep. Thank you, Tatiana, and thank you, Bob. Okay, application 25-04, Matt and Layla Freed. Permit approval to remove existing patios, walkways, steps to deck and fencing. Construct new pool, patios, walkways, fencing, planting, steps to deck and associated site improvements within a regulated area at 6 Vintage Road. And let's see, I'm looking, and I see Abigail is on the screen there.
Yep,
When you get a
that's me.
moment, if you can introduce yourself and give us your company and all that good stuff.
Okay, my name is Abigail Squants. I work for DeVore Associates and AMSD Landscape Architects, and I am going to be presenting for the Rock Spring Design Group, the property, the Freed property, number 6 Vintage Road in Trumbull, for their application. Is it okay if I share my screen and take you through what we're planning?
Yes, thank you.
Can everybody see that?
Yeah, would you be able, I was going to say, blow it up a bit because
Yes,
it's
I think
kind
that's very small. I would agree with you. So,
Right.
Okay, so this is an overview of the property. This is the existing conditions. It's a house on Vintage Road. It has an existing deck configuration now. Here is the driveway. Pertinent to the commission, over half of the property is in wetlands. This is the wetland delineation line right through here, the flagged wetland. And this is the 100-foot setback line, which you see also goes partially through the house. I'd also like to bring to your attention the proposed silt fence for erosion control, which actually is halfway down the slope leading down towards the wetlands. It is a very steep slope. This will also be the envelope for all of the disturbance on site. Oh, let me just go back a little bit. The little point is this bubbled line through here is outlining an area of existing clearance throughout. All of this is not forested or has trees in any way. So moving forward in the project, there are no trees within the envelope of the proposed work. Back to the design. Okay, the overall design is a removal of part of the deck area, a series of walkways leading up to a small terrace, and then a I have to look at this because it is so small, a 14 by 28 foot proposed swimming pool. And then beyond the swimming pool, just as a general point, halfway through the swimming pool is where we actually have the shoulder of the hill going down towards the wetlands. So the pool is proposed to be actually partially elevated out of the ground, and then attached to the edge of the pool, there is a cantilevered deck. So no area below this area within that wetland envelope would be disturbed because of the cantilevered deck. We then have a series of additional walkways through here and a standalone hot tub. Above and beyond that, we have two L-shaped small freestanding retaining walls just to help close this area out. Again, this is our flagged wetlands. This is our 100-foot setback. Also, we've proposed a variety of native plantings throughout to act as a buffer between all of the proposed and finished work leading down towards the wetland area. And to help you understand the change in overall elevation on site, this is a section. I'm going to blow this up some more because actually this is particularly tough to see. This is the existing slope, the dashed line. And then you can see the pool here. This is the existing shoulder of the slope, which goes down. So the pool is built up out and none of the grade is changed at all. And then the proposed deck is cantilevered out. And the only proposed disturbance within this area is a series of sono tubes to hold the deck up. And then last but not least, this is I think we should all know that there's only 321 square feet of impervious increase on the property. This is the overall square footage of proposed work on site. And then, because no one's been out on site yet, a couple of photographs. This is an aerial shot of the back of the property. This is the terrace, which is going to be removed. This deck is being retained. The shed is being retained. The proposed pool is sort of in this area right through here, and you can see that there's a steep decline down the slope. And then this is the front of the property, which also allows you to fully understand the existing area of manicured lawn, and then the slope going down through here. So it's a very nominal push out into this window. Are there any questions at this time?
All right, well, here, let's view the pictures. Tatiana, do you have any comments?
I don't have much. I would really like to see the site, and thank you for providing pictures. It really adds a lot of information. The only thing I would note that because of the steepness of the slope, I think a double silt fence would be more appropriate, or maybe silt fence reinforced with hay bales. And otherwise, we'll just take a look at the site, and obviously the pool design would have to be through a structural engineer.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all easily addressed. Abigail.
Where's it, by the way, where's your pool equipment?
Okay, let me slide up. Excellent question. Here we go. Oop, went too far. Forgive me. Oh, I keep doing it. Okay, the proposed pool equipment is right here. And actually, one thing I didn't fail to mention is we're also going to have an in-ground propane tank proposed right here as well. And then also that the deer fence picks up from the corner of the shed, wraps around and ties in to the deck over here, and then picks up over here and slides around and ties in to the house over here. So this is the line of the proposed pool fence. Let me blow that up a little bit for you. There you go.
All right, I'm going to ask the commission questions, comments.
Yeah, one, just
Go ahead, John.
to back up what Tatiana had said about the design of the pool. A little concerned that half the pool is underground, half the pool is exposed. I'd like to make sure that the design is good so that the side that's facing the wetlands doesn't break down over time, because they'll have much more force than the sides that are protected.
Okay, of course it would be structurally engineered, and we would come back with that information as we move forward.
Okay, thank you.
And any other comments?
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Carmine.
I'm a little confused about the shed. There's a drawing between SP0 and SP1. It doesn't have a marking on it. The shed seems to be running north to south. Then
Okay.
drawing SP1, it seems to be in a slightly different location and at an angle.
Okay,
And you're
I will
saying
need-
this is an existing shed that's not being moved.
okay.
Can you explain the difference?
No, I cannot, because I don't actually have access to those drawings at this time. But we will come back to you with that answer.
Because can you go back to that photograph of the backyard?
Of course I can. So there it
Because
is at an angle.
That looks to be at a different than what you're showing on the drawing.
Hold on, let me scroll up and take a look at that.
Seems to be 90 degrees.
I would need to check that. I'm sorry. It's a good question. I'll look into it. And if it
Okay,
needs to
thank
be
you.
rotated.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Rich.
Just a question about the backfill being used for the retaining wall. Is that being trucked in, or is that just from the site itself?
I think there's going to be very, very little excavation on site for the pool. I think we would need to do a calculation once we get through permitting to figure that out. But if we needed to bring in any material, it would of course be clean fill and then topsoil.
Okay, thank you.
And that calculation can be made moving forward.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, John, I'm going to ask you to stake out what the applicant should do for our walk. And if you would, lean forward because you're breaking up a little bit too.
This is a difficult one. Well, I guess all four corners of the pool.
Hot
The-
tub?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. You said four corners of the pool. Should we
Mhm.
do the hot tub or you tell me what else here?
I'd like to see the deck, which is on this drawing to the right of the pool. At least the 2 points that are the furthest and closest to the wetlands. Yeah, we could do the hot tub. How big is the hot tub? We just put one stake here, or we need all four?
I have to zoom in and see that. I'm sorry. Actually, I don't have a dimension on that. It looks like it's probably 5 by 5.
Yeah, I think if you just put one stake in the middle, in the center of the hot tub, and then we have existing decks, right? So we don't have to worry about any of that. I think if we have those points laid out, we could find our way around. What do you think, Richard?
Yeah, looks, because that's the main focal point on this, so looks good.
Okay.
Any other comments from the commission that they want to see done for our walk?
Through the chair.
Good, Rich.
Just one other question. I'm looking at the site plan requirements and the application. There's just one thing I've never seen before. It says, question 10, it says it's located in the watershed?
Can you explain that,
Have you talked
Tatiana?
to-
I'd have to check. So there is a map of Aquarian watershed, and yes, sometimes that box is checked if it falls within that boundary, but the only requirement the applicant and the town have is to notify the Aquarian of pendency of this application. So it's really up to them to evaluate any impacts within their watershed.
Okay, so it
And
doesn't
we-
require any type of evaluation. Okay.
From them, yeah, not from us.
Do we
Okay.
need a letter for our file from Aquarian?
The applicant, I'll check if that was mailed, but we only keep a certified mailing proof that it was sent out, but we almost never get any correspondence back from Aquarian.
It says C section 8.3. That must be just saying to write the letter. Okay.
All right.
That's all. Nice.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Through the chair, this is Greg.
Go
sir.
ahead, Greg.
Yeah, Tatiana, I'm assuming we'll look at the numbers, but boy, looking at the print that's up, it looks like there's a lot more impervious coverage than we're saying we don't need any retention of stormwater. But I guess a lot of it is just pool, deck. There's an existing deck. Were you able to double check those numbers? I'm just, we don't have to do it for this meeting, but when you look at this print, it's like the whole backyard is covered.
Yeah, I'll double check them, certainly.
Okay.
Yep.
Through the chair?
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, just comment on Greg's question there. With all these pavers and deck stuff, are they really being considered as impervious surface? Because the pavers have cracks in between them. A lot of times they're not counted. All these stepping stones have cracks in between them. They're not counted. So did we get maybe a map of what is being considered in the impervious calculation and what is not being considered in the new things that are being added plan?
And it's Abigail again. Just a quick that I did skip over this page, but this was a breakdown of all of the coverage that had been proposed, including the steps to the deck, and the stepstones was 378 square feet. So, which was as total new impervious was 969 square feet. So the net impervious increase was 321 square feet, if that helps you in any way at this time.
Okay, now the deck, for example, that's not included in there, right?
I'm sorry if that you broke up a little bit.
I'm sorry. The deck itself, that's not included as impervious surface, right?
It shouldn't be, no. If the
Okay,
water
yeah.
goes right through it, yes.
Yeah, well, that might be some of what Greg's looking at too when he's seeing the deck and seeing a lot of areas. So we can discuss that at the next meeting. But
Can
maybe
I
that helps.
quick question, Greg?
Go
Sorry,
ahead, Greg.
here again. You're showing the patio by the pool at 175 square feet. Can you go back to your print? I thought it was showing 450.
Okay, hold on.
The one by the pool?
Okay, hold on a second. I need to zoom in on this as well. My memory is not all it should be. So it's, I think the
Patio by the pool. It says
Yeah,
450.
that's elevation.
Elevation.
elevation,
Okay.
elevation 400, and I think it says 35. Again, I would need to,
Yeah, 435.
All right.
yeah,
And then I know
435.
Yeah, and I know you removed part of the driveway, which is where you're getting some gain.
Yes, in this area through here. This has been pulled back.
Okay. All right. Tatiana will double check the numbers, I guess.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Nope, I think we're good
Hold on.
then.
Through the
Nope.
chair,
Go ahead, Carmine, you snuck in.
scaling that patio, it's slightly more than 20 feet by 40 feet shown, by scaling it.
The pool's only 14 by 28.
Then the scale is probably wrong.
That's a possibility. The drawing says it's 20 scale. I think it's probably 10. Let me, if you wouldn't mind, we can check that and get back to you for the next, before you guys go on your site walk. I'm like 99.9% sure this is a 10 scale drawing.
Right, if you could, when we do our walk, we've asked for the 4 points of the pool. give us the two corners of the patio. So when we're out there, we can, sort of gauge it. All right? Is there anything else? We're good? All right. That's it. Thank you. We're
All
gonna
right,
move
thank
to
you for your
the,
consideration. Have a
thank
nice
you.
evening.
okay, we're gonna move to the next application, but I'm gonna ask Colleen to notify Commissioner Verespi to get him back on.
Not a problem.
Okay.
I'm back.
Okay, for the record, Commissioner Verespi has joined the meeting. All right, we're going to application 25-05. Trevor Hudson, Stephanie Equity. It's a permit approval for an in-ground pool, pool patio, pool fence, removal of 12 trees and soil redistribution to level backyard within a regulated area at 622 Booth Hill Road. And I'm looking to see if there's yep, I see the applicant. All right, if you'd like to introduce yourself and give us your address, if you would, please.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Urquidi, and I'm here also with Trevor. And we're at 622 Booth Hill Road.
All right, if you give us a overview of your project.
Sure. We are looking to install a pool. We have three small active children, some of them are not so small. And we're also looking to remove about 12 large, some of them dead, some of them leaning towards the house, trees. As well. With the pool project, we're looking to install a 35 by 15 pool, and add a surrounding patio of, I actually don't know the exact calculation. About 1,000 square feet, of impervious, either stamped concrete or patio paver. We'll also be adding some galleries to retain water and help with drainage. We will be adding plantings. We don't have any of that yet. I just kind of wanted to defer to wetlands on what we should plant and how much we should plant, basically. But yeah, I think that's all I have right now.
All right, Tatiana, can you put the application up on the screen and then give us your overview?
This is John Mayer for the record. So
Good,
we are
John.
still reviewing the drainage plan. It's mostly minor comments that we can handle with the engineer. Two comments that pertain to wetlands. They don't show the trees being removed. They
Right.
showed it on a previous plan, but they don't have it on this plan. And then additionally, they might want to consider trying to increase the setback from the wetlands to the limits of disturbance. You can kind of see the back of the retaining wall at the back of the pool pretty much brushes up right against the existing wetlands boundaries. So they might want to explore some options on that.
All right.
So I have a question
Thank
about,
you, John. Go ahead, ma'am.
I have a question about that. So I think on I had spoken to them about the retaining wall, and they said that they can shorten it, but I'm not sure which way. I think the way they were thinking of shortening it is basically where you drew that line. From there over to the left would be a retaining wall, and the area from that blue line and everything to the right of it would be whatever is removed from the pool would basically like go in that area to fill. He said that was another option if we didn't want to do a retaining wall all the way across. I'm not sure which is the better option. I'd prefer to have less of a retaining wall, but I'm not sure what our options are.
Yeah, in this case, I've meant more of sort of cutting it back, moving the whole thing closer to the house so that there's at least a couple feet of separation between the wetlands and the disturbance for the wall.
Yeah. The issue that I was seeing with that is the reason we have that much patio on the other side of the pool is the proximity to the stairs that are there already, the deck stairs. I didn't know if that would make it too close to this. The pool itself would be too close to the stairs.
Okay, so you have no elevation showing the deck going down to the proposed patio then, right?
That's the deck. Well, the deck and the stairs are on.
It's a second floor deck.
Okay, so that's your stairs going down on to the left.
It seemed as though when we pulled it back, because originally we wanted it pulled back as well. We didn't want all that. We didn't need all that patio. We wouldn't have minded it being closer, but it seemed like when we did that, it was very close to the stairs. And I think moving it over to the right, the like shifting the whole thing over to the right made it closer to the river, which I didn't know if that was another potential.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Tatiana.
Yeah, I think if this is the plan and if there is no opportunity for you to provide some sort of separation between the wetlands, then application should be changed in section 2 with wetlands area to be disturbed, because being so close, you can't build a wall on top of the wetlands without disturbing any. So perhaps really calculating how much area you really need and showing realistic limits of disturbance would be a better revision. And then also, I think moving a stormwater system could be beneficial for this project as well, kind of providing more separation between wetlands and stormwater system. It could really be shifted a little bit toward the house. So that's all from me.
Okay, have that? Okay, any comments, questions from the commission?
Through the chair.
To the chair.
Go ahead, David.
Oh, let me start my video here. The wetlands, Tatiana, maybe you can help me. There doesn't seem to be any indication where this wetlands boundary came from. Is this from the town GIS system? Is this from another map filed for a subdivision? Where did this wetlands boundary come from? Was it a flagged wetland, or is it something from a previous application?
Yeah, through the chair. I believe it was based on the previous subdivision. And John, help me. When was the date of the flagging? Do you remember? 2003?
Yes, the subdivision was 2007, but the flagging, I believe, was 2003.
Yeah.
Do we believe the flagging is current and relevant, or have conditions changed? We'll see on the site walk.
I guess.
I notice there's a large curvilinear line that runs through the property that indicates it's the 100-year flood line. There's a significant amount of fill within the floodway here. Is that an issue from an engineering standpoint?
It's within the flood zone. Okay, so they're not filling within the floodway. But yes, good question. And the pool equipment should be above the base flood elevation, which I believe is 266. So shouldn't be an issue. Maybe raising their pad a little bit.
Okay. And then as far as for the applicant, as far as the plantings go, it's really not the commission's position to tell you what to plant. You should come in with a planting plan that's been prepared by a licensed professional, whether it's a soil scientist, an ecologist, a landscape architect, somebody who's qualified to do a planting plan that can submit that. But we generally, around the limits of disturbance, require an alternating planting of native plants every 5 foot on center and an alternating row sort of continuous around the perimeter of the area of disturbance to create a buffer. And I don't know if there's any opportunity here to do a rain garden instead of the infiltrators, but you know, that might be an opportunity to sort of do both.
And the other thing is native plants as much as possible, right, David?
Yes, I thought I threw that in there.
Yeah,
In the
I
jumble.
remember. So,
Through the chair, one quick question.
go ahead, Tatiana.
With the removing of 12 trees, are you proposing stump removal as well?
Yes, because they're all in the areas of like yard where the kids would play, and that's part of the issue right now. The roots are very, it makes it a pretty dangerous area as far as playing, running, walking.
Thank you. Just if you could show them on the plan, that would be helpful.
Yeah, they were on the original. Yeah, they're not on that one. They were on the original.
We should have a tree removal plan that indicates the location and the size and the type of trees to be removed. That way we could at least judge, say, okay, we want sort of, you know, 3 or 4 trees put back as opposed to saying 12 trees to be put back. But that's something for the site walk and whatnot.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Rich.
I just had a question. I'm concerned about significant erosion. I couldn't find it on the plan. Is it, considering it's a second floor pool, is that above ground at the, it's looking from the outside, or is it, how deep is it going in ground if it is in ground?
It's a second floor deck.
Okay, so the entirety of the pool is above ground?
No, the entirety of the pool is in ground.
Okay, so we're stepping down from the deck to the patio?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Tatiana, is there an erosion plan for this?
So the bold dashed line indicates a silt fence, and there's also limits of disturbance that I had commented earlier should be revised a little bit.
Okay, I guess I'm more concerned about long term because the wall was reduced in height. I don't see how that other than getting out of the wetland, what the reducing the height was going to accomplish. It's in a floodway, excuse me, a flood zone.
I think proposed grading is, oops, I don't know where that went. Oh, there we go. Proposed grading is not very steep, and besides this area right here, but sounds like they will be altering their grading plan with the footprint of the wall. So seems like there is a little bit more clarity needed. And potentially, I think with plantings or long-term erosion can be addressed as well.
Okay, because at present, if the wall is almost directly on the wetland, it would appear that it'd be pretty challenging to even get in there to build anything. And also to have enough room to put the plantings seems somewhat limited. A lot of underground activity, but all right, thank you.
I have a question for the applicant. Is that where it's showing the delineated marking between the wetlands and the proposed pool? Does any of that wetlands actually have markers that we'd be able to see when we went out there?
No, but it's kind of clear where the wetland is. You can see the exact outline. It looks exactly like the picture. It's kind of a wet patch of earth. You can see it. It's clear when you walk it.
All right. John Loria, you want to give the applicant what we'd like to see done for our walk?
Sure. I didn't get to comment though, Richard. I'm not happy that we don't have any wetlands. I want to make that.
We don't have what? You got to lean forward, John.
We don't have wetland flags. So I
Right.
don't know where the wetlands are really. But anyways, what we would like to have delineated would be the wall itself does that exist right now? No, right?
No.
Okay, so let's put the endpoints of the wall, the four corners of the pool, and then you're putting a water detention system in there too. Put that location in as well.
So where the galleries will be?
Yeah, those four corners.
Okay.
Through the chair,
Good, Carmine.
I don't see where there is the fence around the pool. I'd like to see that shown on the drawing.
It should be there.
Oh, there is I just saw it. Yeah.
Tatiana, a question for you. How is this being determined that this is actually where the wetlands are? Is this from the prior 2003? Because I believe this was the Cracker development when they did
Yes,
the
it
5
was.
houses
Yep.
back in, yeah.
Backward development. Yep. That's
Yep.
where the wetland boundary came from.
All right.
That's
And
Beaver
is there a way
Brook.
is there a way of marking that at all? That we can see where that is so that, when we go out, we've got an idea?
They would have to have a surveyor come out and put flags. Yeah, they could do it using the old boundary. The question is the commission okay with using 2003 data?
I mean, the other option would be to have the wetlands reflagged by a soil scientist.
I
Go ahead, ma'am.
I believe a soil scientist, I'm not sure on the date if it was before. I believe it was after 2003. A soil scientist did do some soil testing. Whoever I originally spoke to a while back had found that information. I can probably find it, but and sent it to me. Somebody at town hall. I'm not sure if it was John Mayer or who I spoke to. And the soil scientist actually determined there was less wetlands than previously thought. So I'm just not sure the timeline, but I know that had been done at some point. So I'm not sure if it's information you guys have.
I believe this was the most recent delineation we have on file.
The 2003?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, well.
Chair, how do we want to go about getting this wetlands delineated, given its extreme close proximity to the proposed project?
Well, what I'm wondering is we're looking, seeing that it's supposedly a straight line all the way across, if we could get the right point and the left point, if you know what I'm saying. This, it'd be like a surveyor going out and giving you, certain marks. We could, so right now, how are we determining the actual wetlands boundary on this? That's the issue we have. You have the 2003 map, right, John Mayer?
Yes.
All right. Do you feel that when we're walking this, you'd be able to give us an idea of where it actually is on the property here?
That's through the chair.
Go ahead, Tatiana.
Yeah, I think it's typically, up to the applicant to kind of show. I don't know if staff will be able to figure out where the wetland boundary is. This is the currently depicted wetlands area. And in terms of how it can be shown on the site, the staff can't make that up.
Because I remember when Fracker did this, there was wetlands all the way across all 5 houses, so.
This was the worst one of mine.
All right, well, let's do the walk and then we'll determine whether, we want to see a wetlands scientist out there to determine where it is. All right, so John, you
Through
gave
the
the
chair.
floor.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Tatiana.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the timeline is for the applicant. Sometimes it's better to let them know what the requirements are beforehand, because if we walk it in a couple of weeks and determine that they do need it, then they won't have time to provide it for the April meeting.
Yeah.
So as long as the applicant is comfortable with potentially going to May meeting, that's fine, but it may be more beneficial for them just to save time to kind of get an answer tonight. Just my 2 cents.
I appreciate that.
John Mayer, who actually did the wetlands flagging? What company?
You have to give me a minute to find that.
It was New York.
Well, Spath may have done the original survey and engineering work.
The reason I'm asking, see if they're still active, like, as we both know, Bjorklund is retired, so.
Sure,
mean,
it seems like
maybe-
we're gonna need the wetland boundaries. It seems like we're gonna have to have the wetlands marked. I don't know how we get around.
The reason I'm asking is if we can get the same gentleman out that could give the left point and the, right point, as I'm saying there, and
Okay.
supposedly it's a straight line, we'd have at least an idea.
No, it's a big V that comes into the middle.
Yeah,
of
it's
the
not a
property.
straight line. That's the
But I'm
slope.
saying-
It's a big
Yeah.
V.
But I'm
line
saying
work is
coming
really
off of
poor.
that, so.
I think we need that information.
So the choices would be to either have a surveyor come out and take the points off of this drawing and translate them into the field, or to have a soil scientist come out and reflag the wetlands, which, might end up with a better situation for the homeowner, or it could end up with a worse situation for the homeowner. But, they would have access to look at this drawing and say, okay, this is what it showed before. And they can say, yeah, this is pretty much what it is now. And they would just put the flags back out there. So it's either the surveyor or the soil scientist.
All right,
Through the chair, Greg.
go ahead, Greg.
For the applicants, I would go back to whoever you're working with designing this, and maybe it's something that you would consider the better alternative. If you can adjust your stairs, are those existing stairs off your deck?
They are.
If you move, it might be the cheaper thing long term if you can adjust your stairs and pull that pool back toward the house.
Okay.
I don't know if you're willing to do that. You talked about early on that the concrete patio was bigger than you really wanted. But if you could pull that whole thing back, that might solve a lot of issues if you can pull that back several feet.
Okay.
I don't know what the rest of the commissioners think. I think obviously we'd love to know the corner of where this V on the wetlands is sitting, but it would give you a little more room, and you can do plantings as a buffer. The wall won't be right on the edge.
So if we're able to move the pool back, is that how many feet back from the wetlands boundary?
What are your thoughts,
Sufficient?
David? If they're going to do a wall there, at least what, 4 feet?
I mean,
At least.
the commission has approved projects that have been as close as I believe 5 feet is what's coming to mind. There was one over near St. Catharines where we were about 5 feet off the wetlands. There was one over off of Teller where we were between 5 and 7 feet off the wetlands. It's enough room to get a row of plantings between the wall and the wetlands area, and to be able to provide enough area that they can construct the wall without impacting the wetlands. Like Tatiana said, the wall is touching the wetlands here, so you can't build the wall without impacting the wetlands. So I would think at least a minimum of 5 feet would be good.
I was wondering I was just asking Trevor where the shortened, where the plan, we have an alternate plan showing the shortened wall, and I was wondering where that fell, but he thinks it's still close to that V, where the wetlands comes down. Okay, so, and do we have the ability to move it over to the right? Would that solve
My thoughts are if you came in 5 feet, moved over to the right to give you a little bit more clearance with your steps, I think that might solve it. What do you think, David?
I'm not going to get into redesigning their project for them online. There's a lot of moving parts here. There are different orientations. You could flip the pool 90 degrees and, move it to the left or move it to the right. And, you would have more space. But they've put the pool right where the deepest part of that wetland is coming in.
Mhm.
I mean, this is one where I would say we'd love to see an alternate. That's not going to do much for you because your wall is still going to be in the same location.
If everything's pushed.
I think maybe some alternative designs or spending some time on the drawing board to look at this. The pool needs to move in some direction, and I think there are ways that you could orient the pool here where you could get better use out of the space. And whoever you're working with to design the pool and do this layout should be able to help with that.
All right, well, you want to talk to your pool contractor, and like I said, right now, if you could move it in so you're at least I'd say about 5 feet away from the point of the wetlands. I think that would kind of alleviate the problem for you a bit.
Okay.
All right. Any other thoughts, questions from the commission? All right, so John, we gave him the original 4 points, and then we could ask that they do the revised 4 corners if they moved it in 5 feet, right?
That sounds good. Do you want to put both of them in, or?
Well, let's see what the difference is, and then also you have to make sure the trees you are proposing to take down are marked.
Put ribbons around them.
Yeah.
So let's go back to
We'll
stake.
tag them.
Which do we want to have stake? I would prefer to stake just what we have on the plan.
All right.
And then after we see what was proposed on the plan, if we want to move it back, we know what we're doing. It gets kind of confusing if we have all that stake stuff. That's my
All
own.
right.
So
Let's
am I
stick with what we
staking
have
the
on
original?
Yeah, stake the original.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're going to go out in the field with. Our plan's going to be the original. So I don't want to have any confusion. Thanks.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. We just avoid confusion. Just use the ones that are the plan itself, not the modified plan.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments, questions? All right, so we will notify you when we're going to be coming out to do the walk. And in the meantime, you might want to do a little bit more research on the wetlands flagging and all that. And as John Mayer, you weren't able to find out who did it originally?
The 2003
Was
wetlands
it Otto? Was
delineation.
it Bill Kenny?
And no, it was done by Cynthia Rabinowitz of Consoil.
I don't think she's working anymore.
Yeah,
That was not the plan either. Remember, Richard, I had the Rabinowitz plan, and then there was another plan that was after. And the Rabinowitz plan or maybe I'm thinking about Hidden Pond. It was a Rabinowitz plan for Hidden Pond.
There were three soil scientists that worked on
Yeah, they
Hidden
didn't
Pond.
agree with, none of them agreed with each other.
I know.
Okay, I just want to remind you about that.
Nope.
On this particular
Well, you had the Hidden Pond development right next to you as well, so that's
Yep.
so it started gets a little fuzzy. So I might have misspoke there.
I don't know if I'm correct to do this, but you might want to reach out to James Fracker, who did the original 5 houses, and he might be able to tell you who flagged it and give you a hand on that. All right. Okay, are we good? All right. So need a motion to close new business.
So moved.
Seconded by
Second.
David. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Good night. We will see you at the walk. Okay, we're opening old business, application 25-02. Philip Reardon Jr. Permit approval to fill in a pool and use existing pool footprint and pool walls for barn foundation. Remove shed, pool cabana, concrete pool patio and slate patio around pool. Install new driveway, plant privacy trees behind barn. Potential mudroom installed where slate patio is off dwelling behind garage within a regulated area at 159 Plymouth Avenue. I see Attorney Rizzo. I'm assuming you're going to be representing the applicant. I know you're new to this, so you'll have to give us your name and all that.
Chairman, members of the commission, Raymond Rizzio, the office of Russo and Rizzio, 10 Sasko Hill Road, Fairfield, Connecticut. On behalf of Philip Reardon tonight, making this application. If you can also ask Tatiana if she could allow Chris Russo should be on so that he could share the screen as we go through the plan.
Quick question while waiting. Attorney Cordone. Should I mention now that this is going to a public hearing or wait until after Attorney Rizzio does his presentation?
I think you can bring it up now that was there a petition filed on this one?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, so
Okay.
I think that I hope Attorney Rizzio has received that petition.
See that.
Okay.
All right, so
I
for
could-
the record, this will be a public hearing and we'll be doing the presentation. And then after your presentation and questions, we're going to be continuing to our April 1st meeting.
So
But
Chairman,
we'll
what
also
I'll,
have to-
what I'll do
Go
is
ahead.
I'll make it very brief so that there's no reason to go through everything twice.
All right.
If we're gonna have to represent, but if the commission also, I know they've walked the property also, so if they can give us some of their feedback so that we can address it at the public hearing. But basically, what our client would like to do, and Chris, if you can pull up the plan. So folks, basically, this is at in the rear of 159 Plymouth. Which our client owns is a large property. It's over 3 acres. It has a pond on it on the other side of the home, as you can see on this plan. I think you're probably all pretty familiar with it because I think most of you walked the property. Basically, what our client had proposes to do is build a barn over an existing concrete in-ground pool using the foundation of the pool as support for foundation of the barn. He's been through building, he's got his ZBA waiver for the work done, the work proposed. He's been through zoning, I think he's got WPCA. His last step here is wetlands before he gets his final building permit. In the meantime, what he also would like to do is remove a slate patio, remove a shed, and basically decrease the impervious by about 303 square feet. What he would do is fill the barn, frame over and supported by the foundation, and then use that as a garage plus a barn. We believe that we're actually reducing any of the impervious on site. He's going to replant and also has already installed the silt fence. He will also be bringing the impervious from which I think is about 15 feet from the wetlands to about 40 something feet from the wetlands, meaning once you remove the slate patios and the sheds, all that would be left would be the proposed barn, which would be about 47 feet from the wetlands. And as you can see, there's a stone wall there that protects the wetlands. All in all, we think this is a much better plan that currently exists. Pool's been there for probably 30 years. And foundation strong. And that's basically our presentation. We're reducing the impervious. We're moving the structures further from the wetlands. And the only other thing that'll be added in some of the regulated area will be, as you can see, this potential, this future driveway. And also a possible slate patio to the house and a mudroom to the house, which is 100 feet from the wetlands. And that's about it. I'd be happy to answer any questions. If there's any additional information that you folks would like for the public hearing, please let me know. And we will be back for a full presentation at your next meeting.
All right. Questions, comments from the commission on what you'd like to see for the next meeting?
Through the chair,
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Tatiana.
Tatiana.
I believe the impervious area calculations included a pool as being impervious. And I spoke to the town engineer, because the pool provides a lot of storage, it really shouldn't be counted in the existing impervious area, so that should be revised. And also, I think there was a question about a deck that was listed. So I sent Chris, I believe, that email just earlier this afternoon, so maybe we can catch
Can I
up
comment on that? I don't understand how an in-ground pool can be impervious. I mean, unless you're going to put a requirement on every pool that comes through that they don't have a cover and that they're not closed for the season and covered for the season. I've had pools for 30 years and they don't store any water. That's the whole purpose of having covers, and the whole purpose, the pools then drain out once they get to a certain level. So I don't understand how this would be an increase in pervious when we're building directly over the foundation of an existing concrete pool, not changing the walls, not adding the ability to hold any more water than if the pool were there. The only way you would be able to consider a pool as not pervious as being pervious would be if you had some kind of restriction or condition on every pool that you put in that there's no covers.
Oh, good question. Even active pools, they still provide storage because there is half a foot to a foot storage before the pool overflows.
Yeah,
And
but all the pools are installed with an overflow. In other words, you never overflow a pool. The pools drain out when they get above a certain level. The pools don't fill. And then secondly, the covers that are put on the pools 9 months of the year don't allow water to go into the pools.
So for new applications, the pools are not accounted for in runoff calculations. So we can't have it both ways. Really, for any new pools, we don't say, well, this is new impervious surface. The only runoff calculations are for the patios around it, because pools, no matter what, they still provide some storage.
We'll make a modification to the calculation with a note of the size of the existing concrete pool. Is that okay?
Sure, that's what we're looking for, yeah, to remove the pool from the existing impervious area
That's fine.
calculations. Yeah.
Kind of crazy to me, but we'll do what you want.
Through the chair,
Go ahead, Carmine.
the proposed future driveway, is that included in the impervious calculations?
Yes.
Thank you.
It
Any
shows
other-
about Commissioner DeFeo, it shows about 1,600 feet in the calculations.
All right, any other comments, questions? All right, so if that's the case, then I'm going to ask for a motion to make this a public hearing. Do me a favor, Tatiana, or Attorney Russo, if you can take this off the screen. Thank you.
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to make this application for Plymouth Ave a public hearing based on the petition that was submitted to the Inland Wetlands Watercourses Agency.
Thank you. I need a second. Seconded by Rich. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to clarify that public hearing is our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is April
April 1st.
April 1st.
All right.
April 1st, April Fool's Day. Perfect place to be.
I'm
Thanks,
reserving
everybody.
comment.
Thanks for your patience. I'm sorry we have to go through this twice, but we'll see you on April 1st. Thank you.
Very good. Take care.
Thank you.
Be safe. Okay. Let's see. We are now going to. This is a continuation of a public hearing application 24-34. Trumbull 111 LLC to permit approval for construction of a 35,350 square foot commercial building with associated driveways and parking, grading and planting within a regulated area at 1 Trefoil Drive. Okay. I see Attorney Knopf has come on board. Let's see.
Evening,
Evening, sir. I don't see Attorney Green yet? I see your crew there. Should we give him a moment?
Oh, I don't know that, I don't know that he's going to be on. I mean, there's been times,
Oh,
there he is.
there. I just popped in.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman,
Good evening.
Commission.
All right, Attorney Knopf, you know the
Okay, Mr.
routine.
Chairman, thank you. John Nuff, 135 Broad Street, Milford, Connecticut, on behalf of Trefoil 111 LLC. This is the fourth evening we've been before you, including the night that the application was accepted. We opened a hearing at your last meeting. And so you're very, very familiar with the project, and we're going to I want to let you know what we did since last time. And as I told you, that's understanding where this is likely to end up. And I think you were poised to approve at the last meeting, but I wanted to make sure that we papered the record appropriately. And so we have done a number of things and submitted a number of memos on February 20th, so close to 2 weeks ago. And so those are responses to Tatjana's comments from Soli Engineering, responses to the intervener comments from Soli Engineering, responses to the commission comments from the last hearing, also from Soli, revised site plans that reflect the changes that were articulated in those various memos from Soli Engineering, a revised stormwater operation manual, also from Soli. Those were all submitted on February 20th. There's also correspondence from Bill Kenny and Jackson Smith responding to commission and intervener comments. And it really goes beyond that. And I would hope that you've had a chance to look at Bill's memo from February 20th because, well, first of all, Bill is the only person who has testified who is a wetland scientist. So he is the only expert when it comes to wetland impacts that you've heard from on this application, and his testimony cannot be discounted unless there's some contravening expert testimony. But more importantly, Bill's memo does a very good job providing an overall context. He's taken all the work that Luke has done in response to your comments and provided in some context and has discussed, frankly, how there's a man-made drainage ditch and we're just shortening the distance between the two pipes where it daylights and then where it's regathered, and what the function and value of that is of those wetlands, which is really nothing more than conveying stormwater, and also puts in the context of the mitigation we're doing and the other very positive work that we're doing. So you're going to be hearing from Bill shortly. You've also received Tatjana's memo, which goes through all of the comments that she originally made, responds to our responses, and I think that everything remaining from Tatjana's memo are things that you would typically do as a condition of approval because there's just certain things that we can't do yet, such as doing a bond for soil erosion control. And then also this morning, no surprise, we received another memo from Steve Trinkus, really, which is just more of the same. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on that. I find it interesting, however, that Mr. Trinkus says that we should ignore the advice of the stormwater quality manual in terms of how you should evaluate infiltration. So, we all thought that was really rather fascinating. And I guess it was all of a piece with the advice from Attorney Green last time was that, he didn't want to get into case law and reading the regulations. And I think that what those two comments point to is that the only way you deny this application is if you ignore the DEP stormwater manual, ignore your regulations, ignore the case law, and ignore the statutes. We came in with a very, very good project from the start. And it's gotten a lot better, but it's gotten better not as a result of the intervener comments. It's gotten better because of our collaboration with you and your staff. We have taken to heart every comment you have made and done our best to live up to that and to incorporate that, whether it's sliding the building forward, bringing the retaining wall on the north side of the site further away from the wetland pockets, doing true mitigation at the park, adding rain gardens. I mean, some of these are more substantive than others, but there's literally nothing that we haven't listened to closely and incorporated to the greatest possible extent. So I'm going to have Luke bring you through briefly the responses to all the comments and the changes to the plans. I'm going to ask Bill to maybe not so briefly give his expert testimony as to the impact of wetlands, and then we're happy to answer any questions from the commission. And I'm happy to go through what we discussed last time, is that I think it's appropriate for you to make a determination that there no significant impact is proposed here. It's certainly the time to have done that, as long as it's passed, and therefore you need not make any findings as to feasible and prudent alternatives. With that, I'll turn it over to Luke.
Good evening, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Luke Morrow. I am a senior project manager with Solar Engineering, 501 Main Street in Monroe. I am a professional engineer in the state of Connecticut and also a professional traffic operations engineer. So I'll go through plan revisions first, then I'll touch on some of the other responses to comments and other items that are depicted on the plans. We'll start, and if hopefully everyone can see my my plan set that's up here on the share screen. So I believe we were asked by the commission to depict the location of the trees along Trefoil Drive, the individual trees, where they're located, species, and kind of make a note on our landscape plan of what's to remain and what's to be removed. So we did add those 7 trees along Trefoil Drive. There are 4 honey locust, 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's 1 red maple over here, and there's also 2 sweet gums over here as you come around the bend on Trefoil Drive. So those have been added to the survey, and we'll get into on the landscape plan in more detail, but 6 of the 7 will be removed as a result of grading and parking lot expansion that's necessary to accommodate the proposed site layout. In terms of the grading and drainage plan, we did show a couple, Tatiana asked we show a couple access manholes for cleaning and inspections. Those have been added to the underground detention infiltration system up here in the northeast corner. We did add a note for a 4-foot sump to manhole 6 down here in the corner as well, to help kind of settle out the solids before getting into the wetland there. And then also we did provide some revised grading to this wetland area to provide additional separation from the retaining wall in terms of eliminating hydrostatic pressure and water related issues to the retaining wall there. And then in concert with that, we actually created a new plan, which we're calling our rain garden and bioretention details plan. We provide more detailed drainage areas, calculations, sizing information, contour data for all these individual rain garden areas, and then bioretention rain garden area notes with specifications for what the media should be from surface level down to the piping to help drain it out at the bottom of the system itself, and then also some construction notes that were kind of taken from guidance provided in the stormwater quality manual. Next, there were a couple minor comments in regards to the soil erosion sediment control plans from Tatiana. She asked that we show concrete washdown area, so we added a concrete wash rack with a swale that leads to our temporary sediment trap, and we also added a detail for the concrete wash rack on our soil erosion sheets as well. Also added a note that there's no stumps or debris to be buried on the site. They need to be removed as part of construction. And then lastly, I will cover high level, and if there's anything specific, Mary is on and she can chime in. But For the landscape plan, we did revise the plantings around the bioretention area #1 to follow the new contours in this area. But more importantly, we are, based on the commission comments, we are showing with these bold X's, those 6 trees to be removed along Trefoil Drive, and noting that they are to be replaced along Trefoil with 3 red maples and 3 pin oaks. 1, 2 over here, where there's ability to provide where the slopes are not so steep, and then another 4 around the bend. So we're placing those 6 in kind along Trefoil Drive. In addition to that, there was a question or a comment raised about potentially adding mitigation shrubs along the bottom of the wall to kind of protect that wetlands area, and also break up the facade of the wall as well. So we did provide 12 shadblow service berries. So they will help. They're a larger type of shrub, can kind of be installed on these steeper slopes. You can see the contours are fairly steep here under existing conditions. They will provide some screening to break up that wall, the mass of that wall. But in terms of function, they are a source of food for birds, mammals, small mammals, insects, and pollinators like honeybees. They do bloom in the early spring to help with that pollinator function. And they also serve as a host for butterfly larvae as well, which is appropriate being in close proximity to the wetland system here on the north side of the site. So that's summary of the plan changes we had submitted. We did submit also revised operation and maintenance manual. There were some minor changes to some of the references in the manual that Tatiana wanted us to correct, and we did also note that the wetland system in the rear is to remain in its existing state, should be maintained as a wetland rather than as a stormwater pond. So we updated the notes accordingly to account for that. We did provide some documentation per Tatiana's request showing that the pipes we are proposing, the driveway areas, are rated for H20 loading for large-scale trucks, even though they're plastic piping. So there shouldn't be any concern with the ability for those pipes to support the proposed weights that will be sustained with truck traffic throughout the site. Did want to get into, I know there was a question from the commission, and I believe it was maybe more directed towards staff, but we did want to try to at least opine, even though we can't necessarily physically quantify the salting impacts. But and we did provide this in our response to comments. But so while we can't quantify an amount of salt that is going to the wetlands or stormwater system on site, we would note, as we have several times in the past, there is no formal stormwater quality mechanisms or treatment systems on the site. Simply a collection system. Everything on the site within the paved areas and the roof flows to Trefoil Drive without any type of stormwater quality treatment. In our proposed case, there will be a number of every catch basin will have a deep sump with a hood and outlet. There'll be 2 hydrodynamic separators, 3 rain gardens, an infiltration basin. So in our professional opinion, there is a significant improvement to the overall stormwater quality compared to existing conditions, considering there is no stormwater quality treatment mechanisms on site as it exists today. The northern wetland in particular does not receive any direct runoff from any paved surfaces under existing or proposed conditions. So we think ultimately salting impacts to this system would be minimal because it is not receiving any runoff from parking lot areas or paved areas. However, the wetland system in the southeast corner of the site does receive runoff primarily in the existing condition from Route 111. It has not been the state's practice, at least in the past, to provide stormwater quality treatment, at least within the right of way. So we have noted in our response to comments that we do agree it would be a significant improvement to the quality of the water flowing to this wetland if the state were agreeable to allowing us to provide a hydrodynamic separator to treat the runoff from Route 111. I cannot myself agree to that. There is a subject, the site is subject to a right to drain that's under the Connecticut DOT's jurisdiction. So any changes to that system from this from Monroe Turnpike to the outflow into the pond there would have to be reviewed and approved by the Connecticut DOT District 3 office. And we're happy to have Tatiana involved in those conversations as well, to see if they would be agreeable to let us do that offsite treatment to help further improve runoff quality to those wetlands. In regards to some of the other high-level engineering comments, and John touched on a lot of this, but some additional information we will submit. We just can't submit currently while the site is currently active or we haven't received planning and zoning approval. We'll supply perk testing info for the rain gardens, more detailed specifications, and how we will account for unsuitable soils or replacement of soils to make sure the percolation can occur. We'll provide, as we would with any drawing wetlands or not, with any permit wetlands or not, retaining wall calculations and structural drawings for the retaining wall. That will be all part of building permit review once the wall system is selected by the contractor and is designed accordingly. We'll provide the contact info for the contractor responsible for the soil erosion inspections and the third-party environmental monitor, bond estimates for the erosion consent and control measures, and then a stormwater-related cost estimate to be reviewed by engineering staff. Note, which is typical conditions. We will need a street opening permit for any of the work within trefoil, and also an encroachment permit for any of the work within Route 111. However, we cannot obtain those permits until Wetlands and Planning and Zoning have voted to approve this project and we get into construction. And with that, I think that addresses the plan-related changes and the additional comments and memos, information that we've provided for everyone's review. If there's no questions for me directly now, I'll pass it over to Bill to kind of go over his findings and summarize his memo.
Hey, look, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second before Bill goes. I want to be just very, very clear to the commission. We are happy to accept a condition of approval that requires us to diligently pursue the stormwater treatment of the stormwater coming off of Route 111. As Luke said, it's very unusual for the state to allow that, but we will do our level best. You know where to find all of us on this, representing the applicant here. And Tatiana knows us, you all know us, and however you want to memorialize that as a condition of approval, we'll do that. We just can't agree to do it because the state has the ultimate say. But we will make the request. We will include Tatiana in those conversations. We'll do our level best to convince them, and hopefully they'll allow us to do that. So however you want to phrase such a condition, we will happily accept. So with that, let me turn it over to.
Good evening.
Are there any questions? I'm sorry, Bill, were there any questions from the commission for Luke? All right, we're good. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you. Good evening, Bill Kenny, principal of William Kenny Associates in Fairfield. I'm a professional wetland scientist, soil scientist, and landscape architect. We did the wetland mapping here and worked with the team in developing a plan that we believe is a good balance of the redevelopment of the property and protection of the resources. More recently, we took a review of recent comments and suggestions and changes related to the project and issued a letter dated February 20th regarding that updated assessment of the project with regard to impacts to wetlands and watercourses. And I particularly want to focus on the wetland and watercourse area in the southwest corner of the property where the new entry drive is proposed. And in that area, the existing conditions include a drainage channel, a steeply sloping drainage channel, as well as a small pocket of wetland at the lower end of that. And that system really is two different pieces and they function differently. But the drainage channel slopes down steeply, primarily only conveys surface water, and the surface water that it conveys is stormwater runoff from the street. And as has been discussed, it's water that is not treated. And that channel is rock, mostly rock lined. There's vegetation around it, but in the channel itself, not much vegetation. And because it's so steep, the water that flows through that doesn't have a lot of opportunity to infiltrate into the ground. So its primary function is to convey stormwater, and for a short period of time during and after a storm. It does not convey groundwater or provide significant habitat for flora or fauna. At the end of that, at the western end of that, is this small pocket of wetland. And it's interesting, that wetland has functioned because of the Route 111 sort of as a sediment trap. It's collected a lot of sediment over many years, and it's a small little basin. You could see the fill from the road on one side and the fill from the neighbor on the left. So that water gets directed to that from the drainage channel. And then it slowly makes its way through there and then exits immediately just beyond the property line into another culvert. So this is an isolated system where water comes in from a street culvert and exits via another culvert. And we looked at the proposed mitigation for the project, and the initial mitigation and mitigation is being proposed because the project calls for eliminating that drainage ditch. The drainage ditch portion, the pocket wetland remains, and the drainage ditch would be eliminated. However, its primary function will be maintained because instead of the water flowing through that steep stone ditch, it will now flow through a pipe. And I strongly support introducing a Vortechnic type unit to collect and treat stormwater from the road. If we can convince the DOT to do that, I think that would be great, because the pollutants that come into this system today certainly are having an impact on that wetland from that street. So, to mitigate for that about 1,450 square feet of drainage ditch being removed, we are proposing to expand the wetland in this area by about 500 square feet. And I think it's important to know that that wetland will function at a much different level than the drainage ditch. It will provide and hold water for a much longer duration of time. It'll be planted and vegetated with native plants. So it will really help to support native flora and fauna in a way that that ditch is not able to do that. And because it'll be a flat basin type system, and just by that nature, it has higher functions, wetland functions, like by holding back water, it helps to prevent downstream flooding. By holding back water, it gives an opportunity to clean the water. And by holding back water and allowing it to just sit in the shallow basin, provides opportunities for wildlife to use it and so on. So it functions at a much higher level than the drainage ditch itself functions. And then when you combine those activities with all of the stormwater management that's being proposed on site, I do conclude that the project will be a net benefit to the wetlands and watercourses on the site. that existing ditch. It's really barely a regulated feature. You think of watercourses range from the Connecticut River down to just an intermittent watercourse, and this is at the far end of an intermittent watercourse. It's almost not a regulated feature. So the new wetland will be a much higher functioning wetland resource. And with all the stormwater improvements on site, and considering that there are no stormwater improvements management measures on the existing site, it's a significant improvement for the property and ultimately for downstream wetlands and watercourses. And that being said, the applicant is proposing, and information has been submitted to you about the potential to do additional mitigation offsite. And that's at the park. I forget the name of the park. Luke, you have that? Yeah. Yes. Along the Pequannock River. So there, yep. And you have there you have a significant, the river right there, proposing about 4,000 square feet to create a new wetland offsite there. And that is going to be a really great addition. There's during low flows, when the river's just flowing within its banks, there's a public parking lot there for the park, and quite substantially, almost all the stormwater runoff from that parking lot, for a large area of that parking lot, flows through the area where this wetland is proposed. So this wetland will help to collect that water, clean that water, cool it, clean it, cool it. And so before it's released to the river, it'll have an opportunity to be substantially improved and help to protect the river in a way that it's not necessarily getting protected today without that wetland in that location. And then in more rare events, not the frequent small storms where water quality is really important, but in the larger storms where that river might overflow its banks, and this wetland will be sitting in the floodplain. And to create this wetland, we'll be removing a significant amount of material, that by removing that material to create the wetland will expand the storage capacity of the floodplain. So we're helping to provide additional flood storage along the edge of the river there. So it's really benefiting during all the many and frequent small storms to provide water quality treatment. And then on the more rare large storms, it's benefiting to by providing flood storage, additional flood storage. And then again, that will be a depressional wetland system, so it holds water and doesn't just allow it to flow through like that steeply sloping drainage ditch. It holds it and provides opportunities for that flood storage, provides opportunities for cleaning, and provides opportunities for habitat and the growth of a variety of different wetland plants, and that then supports a whole variety of different wetland flora. So I think that offsite mitigation is a great thing and will be a significant improvement.
The chair, very quick question. Will that come before another application?
It will have to, yes.
Okay.
Go ahead and continue, Bill.
Yes, sorry.
That's pretty much what I'd like to review with you, and please answer any questions that you might have.
All right. Go ahead, John.
No,
that was me.
Oh,
David.
hold on, I can't see
sorry.
you with it. Okay, I'm sorry, David. I don't have everyone on my screen, but go ahead, David.
Mr. Kenny, during the last meeting, you weren't present, and one of your associates was here. It was very good. Asked him this exact same question of whether he believed this system was a natural system or whether this wetland system that we're dealing with here was created through the creation of this Route 111 and the properties along 111. So is this a naturally occurring system, or is this something that was, exist as a result of other activities?
I think it primarily exists as a result of other activities. may have been something here. It's hard to tell, but that channel is seems to me to be pretty much 100% man-made. And then they ended up with the development on the property adjacent. That development became like a dam, so it created this low depression where all this sediment has been trapped and created this wetland at the southwest corner there. But it's a chance there was some naturally occurring wetland conditions there, but I think it's driven today primarily by man-made features and drainage conveyance.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Bill, question as to all the salt that comes off that road. Is there any, I mean, is it realistically possible that that can grow anything with the amount of salt that comes off of there?
Yes.
You're saying basically it's a rock foundation and there's nothing growing in it, right?
There is some vegetation growing. It's mostly, I believe, having difficulty getting vegetation growing from sediment loads that come in, and the water is either depositing new sediment during some storms or eroding it away during other storms. So plants have trouble getting an opportunity to get rooted. They start to root, and then a storm event happens and uproots them, and so they're either getting buried with sediment or they're getting scoured away with a larger storm event in that lower pocket area. Yeah.
All right. Questions for Mr. Kenny? Okay. Turning off, did Mary have a presentation or anyone else?
No, the full team is here to answer any questions. Jackson is here, Mary's here, obviously Bill and Luke. But that concludes our presentation. Happy to answer any questions. I know we're going to be hearing from Attorney Green.
Okay, at this point, if there are no questions from the commission, okay, we will go to Attorney Green then. Let's take the plan off of the screen if we can too. Thank you. It's all
Good
yours,
evening.
Attorney Green.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Once again, my name is Joel Green. I practice law in Bridgeport, law offices of Green and Gross. And I appear for you from the Fairfield Fire Training Center on behalf of 720 South LLC and Old Mine Associates, the interveners and abutting and proximate property owners. I am actually taking a brief recess from a zoning commission meeting, so we will be brief this evening. But Mr. Trinkus and I just want to very briefly address the additional materials that were submitted by the applicant. And I will have just some, I'm going to have Mr. Trinkus address those comments now, and I'll just have some very, very brief comments after Mr. Trinkus, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Steve right now, and here we go.
Good evening, Wetlands Commission. Steve Trinkus for the record. I'm a licensed professional engineer from Southbury, Connecticut, representing Mr. Green and his client. Really just a couple comments. One on Tatiana's memo, where she suggests that additional deep holes and percolation tests can be done as a condition of approval. In my professional opinion, that's an inappropriate approach to this because there are issues with the current proposal. The existing or the proposed underground infiltration system, there are a couple test pits in that area. They are 6.5 to 7.5 foot below grade. However, the infiltration practice is between 11 and 15 feet below grade. The 24 DEP stormwater manual, which is considered a guideline, that is DEP's language. It is not a casting cast in concrete manual. It is a guideline. That is their language. However, for soil testing for infiltration practices, the test pits must be a minimum of 3 feet below the bottom of the system to prove that there is no ledge or groundwater within the bottom of the system. With the system being 15 feet below grade at one point, you would need a test pit roughly 18 to 19 feet below grade. So we don't know if this system does provide the separation that is stated for infiltration practices within the 24 manual. Also, percolation tests are expressly prohibited for infiltration practices under the DEP manual. You must do either double ring infiltration tests, or the next common one is what's called a borehole infiltration test, which is a drilled pipe. It is a 2-inch pipe set in a drilled hole, sealed with bentonite, and then the test is run through that. It is not a PVC pipe put in a test pit when you backfill it. And again, those must be done equal or below the bottom of the practice, because that is the soil layer that you're infiltrating in. So we don't know that the infiltration practice actually will work as intended and in conformance with the 24 manual. The rain gardens as proposed by the applicant, and I stated this the last hearing, the applicant even said in their response that they're not considered stormwater management practices. Well, if they're not considered for stormwater management practices, you know, they're basically useless on the plan. As I said before, this is greenwashing. You're putting rain gardens on a plan that don't do anything. So why put them on there? If they're going to be functional, infiltrate and filter the water, then they're a functional rain garden. If they're not doing that feature, then, you know, they're really not doing much good at all. And again, we have no testing for them. The applicant is cited in the DEP manual, this table 4.2, where it states that if you're providing the water quality volume in your treatment practice, basically, you know, they're assuming that it means you don't have to do a pollutant loading analysis to prove that your system is going to reduce non-point source pollutants. That's not what the table says. What it says is that if you provide the water quality volume, you don't need additional treatment volume. That is the language in the table. Again, this is a guideline. You know, the engineer has an obligation under our license for public health, safety, welfare. This is a guideline, the same thing as the technical standards of the public health code are for designing septic systems. It's a guideline, it's a minimum guideline. And as an engineer, if we need to go beyond it, it is not only our obligation, it is our prerogative to do so. As I pointed out in my prior letters, the practices proposed by the applicant of deep sump catch basins with hooded outlets and an online hydrodynamic separator are still considered secondary practices in the water quality world because they do not do a great job of treating non-point source pollutants. And you can take the data from the manufacturers and pretty much throw it out the window because it is based on lab data. It is not real world testing. I've cited both the New Hampshire Stormwater Center, which has been monitoring a 9-acre parking lot with various practices for 20 years, and the American Society of Civil Engineers BMP database. The most recent published version is 2020, and this is monitoring data of real-world sites. And in both those cases, the practices are well below meeting the 80% TSS goal, along with nitrogen and phosphorus requirements under the manual. So there will be increased pollutant loads generated by this site and discharged not only to that southwest wetlands that Mr. Kenny was talking about, but also into the groundwater via the infiltration system. One of the problems with well-drained sand and gravel soils is the stormwater moves through it very, very quickly, but there's not a lot of treatment, if any, going on. Additionally, as you know, property owners and our DOT have gone away from sand and using, you know, the brines or just salt on our highways and parking lots, we're not putting, you know, sand down. So we're not getting the fine sediments that actually pollutants will adhere to. If there's nothing for the pollutants to adhere to, metals, hydrocarbons, and nutrients, then they stay in solution, and pollutants that are in solution will travel through the groundwater. They don't get attenuated unless they're in contact with vegetation, and underground systems obviously do not have vegetation. So in my professional opinion, there will be adverse water quality impacts to the wetlands, exactly what the impacts are on the wetlands. I'm not a soil scientist, but I can tell you that there's inadequate treatment and you're going to have increased pollutant loads going into the wetlands. And again, stormwater impacts are cumulative on our environment. They don't occur on day one, but they build up over time. Thank you.
I don't know if the commission has questions for Mr. Trinkus.
Through the chair.
Good, David.
Mr. Trinkus, you seem to definitely know your stuff, and you point to a lot of studies and books and university studies. Can you point to some specific protocols that are generally accepted and implemented in the practice that are effective at reducing some of these pollutant loads and reducing the salt in the water coming off the road that could be implemented on this project? Or is this just pointing out problems in the overall system that the engineering community hasn't come up with answers to?
Let me address the chloride, but there is actually no system, conventional or low impact development, that will remove chlorides from stormwater.
So this is pointing out a problem that no applicant can resolve.
Yeah, except for, yeah, if you use sand.
Unless the state stops salting the roads.
Well, yeah, which the state isn't going to do because it's easy. There
Right.
are compounds that you could use as a de-icing agent. Magnesium acetate is one, which is a carbon-based de-icer. However, it doesn't get used because it's about 5 times more expensive than chloride de-icing agents. We could go back to using sand to provide traction and a little rock salt to melt it. That's what we used to do growing up, and it works very well. DOT actually went to
That's
the
something we're not going to change DOT policies.
No, we're not. But they went, a little history is DOT went to the brines to avoid dealing with trapping sediment under the state MS4 permit that DOT is subject to. That's why they went with the brines. Regarding other non-point source pollutants, you need to, treat systems in an offline configuration where only the water quality flow, that first runoff from 1.3 inches of rain, is treated and larger storm events bypassed. There are many practices of both vegetated and structural that could be used. The applicant has a good engineer. It's quite honestly not my job to tell them how to design the project, but there are solutions to the issues that I've raised.
Okay. That's it for me for now.
All right. Anything else from the commissioners?
If I may briefly,
Go ahead, Attorney Green.
just to put a kind of a point on this, and I don't want to take up too much time of the commission, but as I've listened to this application and listened to the comments by the applicant and the applicant's consultants, everyone suggests that that the inland wetland, that is the wetland area that's being filled, is of low value or low quality, and they're substituting other areas and providing mitigation. But at the end of the day, this commission has to make essential findings to grant a permit, and certainly this whole project rests on the efficacy of the stormwater treatment. And it is inconceivable to me that we are now, as Attorney Nuff referenced, the fourth night, for me, the third night before this commission. And I cannot understand how it is that the applicant has not provided the infiltration testing that is required. I was struck by the fact that the engineer's comments suggest that we won't sign off on a building permit unless we receive, I suppose, after a review of the infiltration testing. And yet that is a fundamental task of this commission in assessing whether the stormwater system works. And I don't understand how that can be delegated by this commission to staff in evaluating this application. And yet that's where we sit on the fourth night, where those results and Mr. Trinkus has pointed out areas where the fundamental testing, and it's not that hard, and he identified 2 ways it can be done. And yet we're sitting here with, once again, the possibility with the applicant, and I know Attorney Nuff highlighted the good relationship he has with staff, and I'm sure that's true. And but simply as a matter of process, I don't understand how this commission can delegate one of its essential functions to a department or to anyone else. And in terms of among the findings that this commission has to make, and you'll bear with me for one moment, is you have to make findings as to the environment, and I'm referring to section 10.2, criteria for decision. And amongst those findings are the environmental impact of the proposed regulated activity on wetlands or watercourses, including the effects on the inland wetlands and watercourses capacity. And it talks about, various criteria to supply and protect surface and groundwater, control sediment, facilitate drainage, control pollution, and so forth. But the big point is that all of these stormwater treatment methods depend on the quality of the soil. And we had submitted the deep stormwater quality manual. And I think that any engineer would tell you that you need to test those soils where that system is. Mr. Trinkus indicated that there's a 36-inch area below the stormwater treatment facility, which this commission should understand to determine whether it will infiltrate as it's proposed. So I'm just suggesting that this application is not ready to be acted on by this commission. And as to the rest, we've made comments in the past, and you have Mr. Trinkus's letters, and you have our petition to intervene. And I certainly want to thank the commission for your generous patience and for hearing us. I don't know if you have questions for me.
Any questions, comments for Attorney Green? All right. Attorney Knopf, before I go to our town engineer, did you wish to have Luke respond to Mr. Trinkus's comments?
No, I mean, frankly, I don't think we've heard a lot from Mr. Trinkus and a lot from Attorney Green. I think that our team has done a really wonderful job in putting together the application, putting together a robust stormwater treatment plan. We've heard from Mr. Trinkus that there's literally nothing that we can do to satisfy him other than maybe converting the property back into a farm. And so we're happy to do that as soon as his client decides to tear down Home Depot and plant his property as a farm, because he clearly identified there's literally nothing that we can do that would satisfy his requirements for stormwater treatments. At the end of the day, you have no expert testimony in opposition to this application from a wetland scientist indicating a specific harm to a specific wetland. There's nothing in the record of any kind. You have Mr. Trinkus's, I guess he's going to be publishing his own stormwater manual sometime soon, because one of the things that what 22A19 environmental intervention cases say is that if you can demonstrate compliance with the standard protocol, there can be no unreasonable pollution. And that's what we've done. We have indicated and we have proved that our project complies with the DEP stormwater manual. So that in and of itself satisfies any concern with regard to unreasonable pollution. So I think that's sufficient. I think I understand what Attorney Green is trying to do in terms of saying that we're deferring to staff. That is not the case. Solely Engineering and Luke, who is a professional engineer, has used his engineering judgment to design the infiltration system in a manner that's consistent with the soils that he has identified on the site. And while some may be too deep for us to test, I think that is well within his engineering expertise to make that determination. But at the end of the day, we are not letting staff ultimately make the decision on this application. This is an application that you are deciding under the regulations that govern your conduct, as well as the Connecticut General Statute. So I'll leave it at that. And unless Luke feels strongly that he needs to weigh in, and other than that, we look forward to hearing from Tatiana.
No, I think that sums it up.
All right. Okay, Tatiana, if you would.
I sure be happy to. So quick comment regarding testing. I did want to note that there is a boring test that goes way deeper than the referenced 6 or 7 feet built in the comment. So I'm not sure if that was missed by Mr. Trinkus, but we refer to that as which is in proximity of the stormwater system. But otherwise, I wanted to keep it brief, and really a lot has been said. And thank you for both the design team and the intervener. It's really been an interesting application to work on, but to summarize it for the commission. So again, the project involves filling of about 1,400 square feet of wetland, which is bordered by 2 developed commercial parcels and a state highway. The surrounding topography of the wetlands appears to be restrictive for wildlife to use it. And currently there is no water quality treatment on site. So really anything would be a great improvement to our stormwater system and the water resources. From the staff perspective, the proposed design uses effective and widely utilized engineering practices to address water quality, treatment, and runoff. The proposal actually utilizes double pretreatment, not only via sumps and catch basins, but also through hydrodynamic separators prior to connecting to the stormwater system. And additionally, the project, as was highlighted, proposes a creation of over 500 square feet of wetlands on site. And it appears to be the most feasible solution given the site constraints, the commercial use and topography and state limitations. In addition to all of that, there is also a proposal for off-site mitigation, which in my opinion is deemed appropriate given the site proximity to the existing to the old mine park, and the area of that new wetland, I believe, is about 4,000 square feet. So not only the quality, but also the areas are surpassing what is being impacted on. So that's just a brief summary. Obviously, everything has been said by experts on the record, but I wanted to kind of give a very brief overview for the commission, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
So from what I'm hearing, Tatiana, is you feel there's no adverse impact with this project?
Well, it's up to the commission to.
No, but I'm saying on
in my opinion, I think this proposal overall will significantly improve the water quality, address the runoff, and it creates a lot of environmental features.
All right. Any comments, questions for Tatiana?
I have a question, Tatiana.
Go ahead, David.
Based on the existing conditions of this site and then the proposed conditions, do the proposed conditions represent an improvement in stormwater quality coming off of this site from today to if this project is built out.
Yeah, in town's opinion, it certainly is an improvement for both the runoff and the stormwater quality. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments? John Mayer, any thoughts from you? You're good?
I'm all set.
All right. Carmine, Rich, anybody else?
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Rich.
Just to confirm, the proposed, you got it, Carmen?
Yeah.
Thanks. No, can you just mute your volume? There. Sorry about that. Just to confirm, the proposed wetland mitigation is at Old Mine Park, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. And that is,
Oh, if I
have
can,
we
I can
ever in
interrupt.
the,
There is 500 square feet on the property as well. Just
Okay.
clarification.
I guess the question is perhaps for Tatiana, or maybe for you, Mr. Chairman. Have we ever required wetlands mitigation that far off of the campus of a site?
Well, the most important thing is it's in the same watershed. And how far is it actually, Tatiana?
I think it's half a mile away.
It's about half a
Yeah.
mile.
More than a quarter mile.
Yeah.
So,
But it is an approved use by the state. So,
but have we ever in the past required an applicant to?
Are we requiring them or are they volunteering this? That's a big difference.
no, this has been a volunteer. It's not a requirement of the application.
Right.
Right. So let me clear this up. We will happily accept a condition of approval that we submit an application for that proposed mitigation work and then carry it out.
Okay, my concern is that we're creating a precedent in which applicants are now required to maintain land far, far away because it's vaguely within the same watershed.
Well, it's actually a really wonderful opportunity, and that's why I referred to case law last month, is because this has happened in many occasions, and it is for the overall benefit. And the seminal case on this talks about how it is for the overall benefit of the environment. Yes, and I want to be really clear. Our application stands on its own. It deserves to be approved on its own, with or without this mitigation. But the addition of this offsite mitigation does improve overall environmental quality of the aquatic watershed. So it is, I think it's a really wonderful tool for Inland Wetland Commission. And it's used fairly frequently throughout the states. Perhaps not very often in Trumbull, but it is used fairly frequently.
Mr. Chairman, I understood it's something that was being volunteered by the developer, not required by the commission.
Yes, that's true, Bob.
Okay. Just a
Back to
clarification,
to your comment, Rich, is I did do some study on it. I called the different municipalities, and I know like Greenwich does it, and there's other towns that are adopting it. So it was something that it's our first time using it, but it is an approved use. So, right. Any other comments, questions? Are we good? Attorney Cordone, did you have anything you want to add before we move on?
No, I just think Attorney Nuff deserves the last word, and then we have a vote to close the hearing if you so choose.
Thank you, Jim. I'm all set. I don't think there's anything else left needs to be said. If there were questions about the mitigation, I'm happy to answer them. But I think it's really clarified. And as I said, we're happy with the number of conditions that we propose, whether it's the doing our best with the DOT, submitting an application for the offsite mitigation at Old Mine Park, and the other items that were identified in Tatiana's memo. So, and I thank all of you for your continued patience over the past.
All right, thank you, Counselor.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, David.
This public hearing was opened in the interest of the public. Have we taken the public's comment, or is there anybody in the public here that
No,
wishes?
that's the next thing I've got lined out, big hair public questions. So we're all done here. No, believe me, I need the reminders. Mr. Chin, is there anyone from the public that's coming in that wishes to make a comment or speak?
Yes. If there's any member of the public that would like to speak, please press the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen or press *9 if you're on the phone.
And thank you, by the way, David, but I did make a note, so.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, it does not look like anyone wishes to make a comment at this time.
All right, thank you, Bill. All right, well, let's get to it then. Well, because there is an environmental intervener.
Mr.
Commission must-
Chairman, we should have a motion first to close the public hearing.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
All right, motion to, okay, you're doing so, Rich? You want to make it?
Motion, so moved.
Second.
Thank you, and seconded by Bob Ferrigno, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Thank you again, Counselor. All right, because there is an environmental intervener, the commission must first make a finding regarding the impact to the environment pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes, Section 22A-19. So I'm going to ask Greg to make a motion.
So moved.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that the Town of Trumbull Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission finds that it is not reasonably likely that this application 2434 Trumbull 111 LC would cause unreasonable pollution, impairment, or destruction of the natural water resources.
And I'm going to bring this to a vote. Carmine, are you yes or no?
Mr. Chairman, probably just have a brief discussion on that.
Go ahead, Attorney Cordone.
The commission should just discuss, you should open up for discussion before you vote on the fact that you're making a finding that it is not likely to have an impact on the unnecessary impact on the environment.
All right.
Do we need to second that?
All right. Seconded by Bill, but who would like to speak? David, do you have any comments?
Yeah, through the chair, this, we've heard from wetlands expert that two wetlands experts that believe that this is not a naturally occurring system. It was occurred through development of, the roads and the properties around this. And it's sort of a system that has existed as a result of other activities. And we've also heard from town staff that believe that this application and its improvements are an improvement over the existing conditions. So with that, I would concur with the finding.
All right. Other comments?
I have a, through the chair, I have a question.
Go ahead, Carmine.
Can't hear you.
Oh, you shut me off.
No, you're on.
Oh, when you turned away from the screen, we can't.
Oh, okay. There was reference about a boring, and I see it looks like it's PT5, which I cannot find on the drawing. Tatiana, can you tell me where that is? The one that went real deep?
Yeah, if you are on sheet 2.21, look at the northern stormwater system. There is a hydrodynamic separator, HYD2, and just to the northwest of it, there is an SE5. Do you see it? It's right in the wall. Maybe Luke can share a screen really quick or just highlight it, might be the quickest way. Because I can't share a screen on this thing.
SE5?
It is labeled as SE5, yep. You find it?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe Mr. Trinkus was referring to that should have been underneath where the stormwater management system is to see if the water doesn't get it doesn't get trapped by ledge or something.
So we accept test pits in the vicinity of the proposed stormwater system, and it is very close to it.
Close enough? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can add any dialogue, but I do have it up on the screen. And I'll just circle.
Yeah,
So you're good, you're good,
I did
Carmine?
find it, yeah.
Right. All right, thank you, Luke. All right, if we can take that back off so I can see the rest of the commission. Okay, Greg, go ahead.
I'm a similar position as David. Both attorneys, I think, were very articulate, very professionally competent in their presentations over the weeks. It was interesting back and forth, the arguments, but the way I look at this, with wetlands scientists being consistent along the 111 area, we have no existing stormwater treatment on site right now. I'm leaning toward following our town staff opinions to us, and that's where I'm leaning on this. They're comfortable that this is a big improvement from what we have there right now. So I'm in support of it.
All right. Other comments, questions?
For the chair.
Mr. Chair, if I may interject.
Go ahead,
Just
Attorney.
want to remind the commission that you're just discussing right now that there's no detriment to the environment for the intervener vote. So you need to have that vote. Once you can conclude that discussion, then you will vote on the application as a whole. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so are there any other comments on the environmental aspect of this application? So we're good. Okay. A motion has been made by Greg, and it was seconded by by Bob Ferrigno. So I'm going to put it to a vote. I'm a yes. Carmine?
Yes.
Gregory?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Oh, it's unanimous on that. All right. Let's go to
unanimous that we're finding out there's no environmental impact.
right. Just for the environmental aspects under General Statute Section 22A-19. All right. So now, excuse me. All right. I'm now going to ask Greg to make a motion to approve the application.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. The Town of Trumbull Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission approved the application 2434 from Trumbull 111 LC.
All right, and I need a second.
I'll second.
Second, well, okay, seconded by Rich. He had his fingers up first. Okay.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
I'd like to see if we should
me.
it's not you. If we should modify the to include that they also come back with a separate application to establish the wetland area over at Old Mine Park.
Well, that would be a separate application.
I know, but just that part of the condition of this approval is that they do come back with that application for the mitigation over at Old Mine Park.
Let me ask, Attorney Cordone, do you feel that's the case?
Yeah, yes, you could add that as one of your conditions of approval. The applicant offered that, so you could certainly
Right
add that.
now, but basically my feeling is it stands on its own as it is, and that the additional 4,000 was a bonus and it does help the wetlands. So that's where I stand, but.
You
all
don't
right, so
have to make, you don't have to make it a condition. They could just do
Right.
it of their own volition if you choose to do
All right.
that. That's
Through the
fine.
chair.
I would like to make it
Go ahead, John.
John.
through the chair. I would like
Go
to
ahead,
make
John.
that a condition of
All right.
approval that we did offer of mitigation at Old Mine Park be included and be reviewed by this board.
All right, so that will be part of the motion. Rich, did you have a comment?
Yeah, so we're gonna have a separate motion to add that, right?
Yeah, I have
just an amendment.
I'm willing to say it would be an additional condition 3.1 that the applicant offered to submit a second application and to act on that to create an off-site wetland in Old Mine Park. If that's close enough to basically their offer, we're going to accept their offer to submit another application.
Can I comment on that, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah. I'm sorry, what was that, Rich?
Can I comment on that amendment?
Sure.
Before we
Go
vote?
ahead.
Are we voting on the amendment?
No, it's going to be part of the motion. So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, what's the counselor say on this addition? I'd like to hear a legal comment on that.
Go ahead, Attorney Cordone.
Okay. So, this commission needs to determine the application on its own merits first. Period. The offer of offsite mitigation was an offer by the applicant, and they agreed to make it a condition of approval. But that is just a condition you could add if you so choose. When you go to either have it be a part of the motion, if Commissioner Deacon would like that as a separate amendment, so you could have a separate vote on that, I suppose you could do that as well. But the first order of business, I believe, is for the commission to review the merits of the application and make a determination on that and add any other conditions. Is that helpful?
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Cordone. As I mentioned previously, I feel this application stands on its own, that the old mine 4,000 square foot was a bonus. But as it stands, I think this application holds up very well on what was presented. All right, any other comments? Go ahead, Rich.
Thank you. I just like it to be a separate amendment because I do not support the addition of the 4,000 square feet. I don't think it's a good precedent to be saying that we can now start adding off-site half a mile away conditions of approval. They're not, they're volunteered by an applicant. Because my concern is down the road, there are going to be other applications of smaller impact that people will now approach and say, well, I'd like you to improve a park that's half a mile away, or start doing additional construction or other costly work elsewhere. While I support the approval of this application, I do not support the addition of the additional wetland mitigation, if that's going to be part of our conditions of approval.
All right, so we'll do it as a separate vote after we complete this motion. Although, as I said, in researching it, it is being done by other towns, and Greenwich supports it. So, all right, go ahead,
There was
David.
no arm twist, was there? I didn't hear any arm.
You didn't hear what, John?
Arm twisting, like anyone in this commission came out and asked for this, they volunteered it, right?
Yeah.
As far as I can see. Okay.
As I said, I felt it was a bonus for the wetlands. David, you had a comment?
If we are inclined to add this condition for the offsite mitigation area, do we need to set a standard so that it's at least a minimum of 3-to-1, 4-to-1, something like that, where if, like Rich Deacon is concerned about future applicants coming in and saying, oh, I disturbed 100 areas of 100 square feet of wetlands, I want to do 50 square feet of offsite mitigation. at least there is a standard which we can fall back on and say, that does not rise to the level of which we are willing to entertain.
Well, on that question, Middletown and Greenwich, they use a 2-to-1. So that's what I found kind of impressive, that they were doing a 4-to-1 on this. So
right. I think it's very impressive.
Yeah.
I don't think
Bob,
we should ever ask for off-site mitigation offer. So. And then
what was that,
do it on
John?
I don't think we should ever ask for it.
No, we should ask
It
for
was
it if it's offered.
volunteered, and it was brought up. Bob, you had a question or comment?
Yes, commissioners, we've heard this proposal for several hours. And I feel confident that these people, even if it's on a volunteer basis, they'll carry through on it. Maybe we don't have to make it a condition. We'll say we have confidence in your word that you're going to get this done, and just go on that. And this way it satisfies Rich's conditions as well. We're not establishing guidelines that David's recommended. We've heard from these people. They seem like they're honorable people and they're confident, and they're willing to go ahead and do things to this property that are very, very helpful to the property. It seems to me that we can consider the word of these people saying they're going to execute this without conditions.
Well, let me lean on my legal eagle, Attorney Cordone. What are your thoughts? Should we just not bring it into the motion? We'll do a separate vote, or like I said, I feel they'll go ahead and do it, but what are your thoughts?
I think, Mr. Chairman, there should be an amendment to the motion to approve, adding the off-site mitigation as a condition, and then the commission can vote on it, whether it should be a condition or not. Commissioner Ferrigno gives a valid position that it does not need to be a condition. You could just rely on the fact that they are going to do it, or you could make it a condition. They've offered it. So that's up to you, but I think you should just have an independent vote on that as a standalone amendment per Mr. Deacon's request.
All right, so we'll do the motion, and then we'll do a separate amendment as to it. To join that motion, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think a motion has been made to approve the application, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right, and it's been seconded.
Correct. So we're now discussing the application. I think we should have a motion to amend it. Here's Commissioner Cernica, I believe, is going to speak.
Yeah, I think the question is, we have a separate additional condition 3.1 to accept the applicant's offer for off-site mitigation, to submit an application and act on creating an off-site wetland at Old Mine Park, and whether that would be, and I want to add one more. Again, accept the applicant's offer to diligently pursue stormwater treatment for the Route 111 runoff in the southwest corner of the site. They also offered that. And then
from DOT.
Yeah, and I guess the question is a vote whether we want to accept them as conditions 3.1 and 3.2, or reject those two.
Through the chair,
Go ahead, Tatiana.
if the commission would consider adding engineering comment letter as a condition of approval, because we're referencing some things that have to be done prior to the building permit sign off, and it is
Okay, and what is the date of that letter, Tatiana?
2/27/25. Thank you.
You got that, Greg? February 27? Okay. All right, so
And I'm sorry, what was this letter?
It is a engineering department review comments letter dated 2/27/25.
Okay.
all right, so we can move this along. What if we just do the motion, and then we'll do an amendment after on the additional 4,000 square feet? I think that's the way we should go, Attorney Cordone, so we can
Mr.
move
Chairman, I
this
think you
along.
should vote on the condition first, and then you vote on the vote, because Mr. Cernica usually has a series of other conditions that are added to the motion. So let's have someone should make a motion. Mr. Cernica can make the motion about the off-site mitigation. It could be seconded, and then you can have a vote on that condition.
All right, so you want to continue, Greg?
Yeah, I'll start over again. Making a motion to approve application 2434, Trumbull 111 LLC, for approval in accordance to the following conditions from the Town of Trumbull's Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission, Section 1, General Conditions 1.1 to 1.10, and additional conditions 3.1, accept the applicant's offer to submit an application and to act on creating an off-site wetland in Old Mine Park. 3.2 and a separate amendment, 3.2, to accept the applicant's offer to diligently pursue stormwater treatment for Route 111 runoff in the
From the
southwest corner of
DOT.
the site. With the
Connecticut DOT. Remember, they've got to give the approval.
Right, but they offered that they will pursue it. That's all we can't guarantee it.
All right, Tatiana, are we missing anything? And oh, you're also going to put her letter in there.
And then yeah, to the applicant, it would be 3.3 to final I guess correspondence with the engineering department on their February 27, 2025 review comments letter.
All right. Have we missed anything, the commission? Are we good? All right, let's bring it. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what?
Just a question. We're using the words like they're going to diligently pursue CONDOT's approval, but you know, who's measuring this diligence? They can, you know, I have complete faith that the applicant's going to do what they say they do. My concern is we're putting a lot of verbiage out there that has no real legal meaning. We're also saying things like we're going to accept offers. Oh, thanks, Carmen. I have no issue with the fact that there's going to be a wetland created or mitigated, excuse me. The concern is the method in which are we accepting it? Are we accepting an offer? Are we requiring it?
We are not
know what the
requiring
applicant
it.
said,
It was offered. And it's not actually, this application stands on its own.
That's what I'm
was
trying
an
to.
addition. It's been proven. What's happening is this is an offer that they've on their own that they brought up. And again, keep in mind, on a side note, what did it take 7 or 8 years to get the light from DOT and Long Hill? When they say they're going to pursue it, it might take them a year, it might take 5 years, but it's something that they brought up. And again, it enhances and improves it. If they can get it, it's a plus. Because overall, right now, the way I look at this application, it's a vast improvement from what's there right now. So,
And to echo what you said, it's a vast improvement regardless of the 4,000 square feet.
right. And again, that's not a requirement from us. That's something they're offering. Okay.
Right.
I'll throw this out. If some people want to if we want to knock down 3.1 and 3.2, we'll have a vote on it. I made a motion. We can knock it down. Then my next question I would throw out, maybe as part of the discussion, with a letter from the engineering department, basically accepting the applicant's offers for these two things, just as more of a letter, rather than a commission, a condition for a separate, how do we call it? A separate condition.
Commissioner Cernica, I appear to be the only one making the point. I don't want to belabor it. I'll withdraw it.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you. Thank you. Praise the
Oh
Lord.
my God.
Okay. All right. So have we forgotten anything? We're good. Can we bring this to a vote?
I think we're
Attorney Cordone, your last thoughts.
Yes. I think Mr. Cernica, maybe diligently pursue is language that might be have some legal implications. So maybe we just say the applicant will pursue
I'm using the language that Attorney North used, but
Okay.
I wrote that down, but I will remove diligently from
All right. All right, so we're good. I can bring this to a vote. Okay,
We are voting on the entire motion. Is that where we stand?
yes,
With all the conditions? Is that
yes.
Mr. Deacon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Carmine, yes or no?
Yes, yeah, yes.
Okay. Greg,
yes.
Bob,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Have I missed anybody here? I don't think so. I think we got all the commissioners. All right, so bear with me 1 second here. So application 24-34 is unanimously approved. All right, we also have executive session and other things to go through, so
Mr. Chairman, is there anything else on the agenda? I think that should be the last thing we do in case we have.
no, well, right now we
obligated
still
people
have to
back.
do minutes and we have to schedule the field inspections. I'm going to move to field inspections while Greg is finishing up the motion. Okay, I think the commission will want to walk 25-03, 25-04, and 25-05. And I would propose March 17th happens to be St. Patty's Day, and that's a Monday. Tatiana, what works for you, the 17th, the 18th, or the 24th, or the 25th of March?
Either the 17th or 18th. Let's see, 24th. 25th that does not work. And I was gonna suggest that we meet earlier because there is a school traffic and we have more applications this time to walk. So perhaps we could move it up a little bit.
I very much appreciate that because when we did our last walk, we ran into the school buses. So 2:00, you want to go for 2 or even earlier?
1:30, 2, whatever works for you guys.
All right, so we'll do 1:30 on March 17th, which is a Monday. And you'll put out, or Colleen will put out the actual walk and we'll meet at the first application at 1:30. All right?
Mr. Chairman, I'll be in touch with Mr. Ferrigno and Mr. DeFeo.
Yeah, well, we have some commissioners that always walk the weekends and stuff because you're still working and Bob claims he works, although I've never seen that happen, but that's another story.
Yeah,
So
we're on
let
a
that
forklift.
line,
You're seeing me on a forklift.
What was the date
And
we
then-
were going with?
March 17th.
Oh,
So-
sure. I'm gonna have to leave the bar to go walk a site.
There you go. Everybody can be wearing their green.
I'm
Or-
assuming
or-
Chair-
The chairman will be, is the chairman
St.
going to be
Patrick's Day.
bringing the green bagels?
Sure,
Green Bear,
no
what are you talking
problem.
about?
All right, so we're good on that. And Greg, do you have a moment on the minutes to approve from February 4th, 2025? Did you find any issues? Can we go ahead and approve them?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the Town of Trumbull Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission meeting held on February 4th, 2025 with one correction. In the 8th line, it says Attorney Green, the intervener. I would like to get that corrected. I talked to Colleen to read Attorney Green representing 2 interveners.
Very
Attorney
good.
Green is not the intervener. He was
Right.
representing 2.
Very good. All right, I need a second to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, so, and all in favor?
Aye.
Everyone's unanimous on it. Colleen, do we have anything else before we go to executive session?
No, I do not.
All right, your hand went up quickly, Rich.
I was just
Did you
second.
have, no? Oh, just waving, okay. It is all yours, Attorney Cordone. We are going to go to executive session, Mr. Chin, so you're going to change this over?
Jim?
Yes, Colleen.
Jim?
Yeah.
Well, you'll be coming back into this meeting though, right? After?
We will, at least two or three of us will need to come back in to close out the meeting, correct?
Okay, if somebody can text me,
Tatiana, do you have a way to
or
text?
I'll just be here. Tatiana has my number, so I'll just sit here and,
Okay,
because I'm sure it will be.
well, we will try to be prompt. So Mr. Chairman, what we need right now, thank you, Colleen, is a motion to go into executive session with all commissioners and town staff to review pending litigation, Arendt versus Trumbull IWWC.
Okay.
Need a motion for that, please.
Want me to make a motion?
Yeah, if you have, go ahead, Greg.
I'd like to make a motion to open an executive session for the Town of Trumbull Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission to discuss pending litigation regarding Arndt versus Trumbull IWWC.
Okay, and I need a second.
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. All in favor?
Mr.
Okay,
Chairman, Rich Deacon had to step out for a minute.
all right. I had to take a nature call knowing Rich, because when
I'm
we did our
assuming.
public meetings, he always asked to, I'm surprised he lasted this long.
So
But,
the motion passes. Mr. Deacon has abstained.
No, he hasn't abstained. He's, going.
Oh, there he
Nature
is.
calls.
He hasn't
but
really done the
Is he
vote,
coming
but-
back? All right.
He's
so-
back.
All right, Rich, are you a yes on the executive session motion?
Yes.
Okay, so it passes unanimously. Mr. Chin, I guess we then go into executive session then. Are we in it now?
We need a new link, right?
No.
Okay.
No, I emailed the link at 7 o'clock when this meeting started. So you have to exit this meeting and then rejoin the other meeting.
And then we'll have to go back to the first meeting?
Correct. I will resend links for this public meeting once you're in executive session.
Okay. All right, we'll see you in a few. Hopefully it all works.
Click leave and then click on the link you received from Mr. Chin at 7 o'clock. Correct, Mr. Chin? Thank you.
Yes, that is correct.
Leave.
I just have to forward it to my other email.
Oh, wait a minute. What?
Carmine, you need to leave this meeting and then go into that other one. So you have to leave this one first and then click on the link that Bill sent at 7 and go into that one. Maybe you could just leave this meeting, Carmine, and go sit with Richard.
We're back, or we're starting to come back. Colleen, wake up. Colleen, wake up.
Motion to
I'm here.
adjourn.
Colleen, wake up.
I know, it's way past my bedtime by like 3 hours. I chill.
I
2
will second
hours.
that motion. I'd like to make a motion to close the, oh, do we have to wait for a chairperson or can we just act without him?
Motion, motion
That laugh
to,
says we can act without him.
Are we in public session, Bill?
Yes.
I nominate Commissioner Verespi as the acting chairman.
About the, don't we have an
second
assistant?
that.
Is John on? John Loria? No,
And then it falls to the next highest ranking.
that's the secretary. That'd be,
Mr. Cernica. In the absence of any officer, you can simply elect anyone.
not one of them came on.
Bill, were you going to send out another that link, the initial link again?
I did try, but the meeting expired already.
Oh, yeah, well, there's
We're
a
not
sign.
It went over.
A sign from God.
How did everybody else get on it?
We just
I
use
think
the old link. I love
Carmine-
what you sent an email saying I will attend. You didn't.
Well,
Carmine is the longest
I missed
surviving
the
member.
thing about the line that was the link.
No.
Tatiana just texted she cannot rejoin for some reason. So she should use the old link, Bill, from
Correct. It's the link that I sent at 6:45.
I went back to the original one.
Yeah, the other one worked fine.
Monday, whatever.
Yeah. Accessing these links was so easy a caveman could do it.
Sent it on Monday as well.
so the one that you sent at 6:45 tonight.
Correct.
That's right. So we're on live active session right now.
Can we just make a motion to close the meeting?
Oh, there she is. Huh.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to close. Jim, is that acceptable? We have 3 people.
We do. I just don't want to make sure the chairman's all right with that.
We don't want to get appealed.
We won't get appealed.
He was saying
I guess-
before for.
So, Colleen, Mr. Verespi made a motion to get out of executive session. Mr. Deacon seconded it and it passed. Does that sound right, gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay, and we are now back in public session. Someone just wanted, I'm trying to see if I have Richard's number here. Tatiana, can you text Richard? You have his number, just tell, yeah, see if he,
Send it? I won't send it.
Call Richard Gerard.
Calling Richard Gerard, mobile.
you could put his voice up and he could do it that way.
Yeah.
Well, having that agenda open for 2 hours on my phone killed my battery.
We're not available at this time to take your call. Please leave your name and number and we will get back to you shortly.
John.
I make a motion to close the Inland Wetlands Watercourses meeting.
I second that emotion.
Carmine,
I'm in favor of that.
do we have enough for a quorum, Mr. Cordone?
I'm gonna try calling John Loria.
Yeah.
Come on, Jim, there's got to be some caveat when the commission abandons the meeting.
Yeah,
We've been abandoned.
I think if we don't get him in the next minute here, that's fine. Let's.
Looks like Tatiana might be trying somebody.
I tried Greg, it went to his
Okay,
voicemail.
hold on, John. I got John Loria on the phone.
John doesn't know why.
You're on, we have to close the meeting. You in favor of closing the meeting?
I am in favor of closing the meeting, yes.
He's like, sure,
Is
why
that
not?
acceptable?
Yes, it is.
Jim?
Yeah, Mr. Lawyer made a motion, a motion to close the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned.
Richard is
All right, good night, guys.
MIA.
Good night.